So what if I told you that one way for you to succeed is for you to pretend to be someone else? So on today's episode of the Big Shift Podcast, you get to find out what being a scientist, being flaky, and beauty salons have to teach you about being a success.
This is the Big Shift Vcast with Bill Barron. Getting real about business for those making a difference.
Hello, I'm Bill Barron, and today I'm going to ask you to think more like a scientist as a way for you to succeed more as an entrepreneur. So let's play a little game of pretend. So you're a chemist. You not only study the composition of matter and its properties, your job is to also measure substance proportions and measure reactions and reaction results and when you combine matter with various chemical properties. Blah, blah, blah. Basically, as a scientist, your job is to experiment to see what happens when you combine things. Your job is to experiment and experiment and experiment until you get the combination that gets you the results. But here's the important part. You often stumble upon those results in unexpected ways. So lots of people stumble their way to success because they're in action and they're trying different things. The more they experiment, the more they try things, the higher their likelihood of creating accidental success. And the more that they're in action, more chances they have to get it right. So I want to give you a little example of this awesome accident. So the year's 1894, and there's this dude named John, and he was a superintendent at a sanitarium, and he has this brother named Will. And together they were searching for wholesome foods because they wanted to feed their patients, and these patients were Seventh-day Adventists. And so the food that they needed had to be vegetarian because that's what they eat. So one day Will, who did not like cleaning up after himself, and by the way, if you talk to my wife, she might tell you just a little bit of the same thing about me. But let's go back to Will. So this guy Will accidentally left boiled wheat sitting out. And by the time he came back, it was completely stale. Uh-oh, right? But instead of throwing it away, they thought maybe, just maybe, they could still use it if they send this stale wheat right through these big rollers and make these big sheets of dough out of it. But this experiment completely failed. They did not get big sheets of dough, instead they got flakes. So what happened? So here's a little thing. These brothers' last name was Kellogg, and these flakes eventually became cornflakes. So how's that for a consequence of being messy and failing to clean up after your mess, right? So, but what does this mean for you? So as you walk your journey of creating the business you love and helping people and humanity in a big way, maybe, just maybe, you ought to think like a scientist instead of an entrepreneur. So if you want to succeed, you need to generate revenue, and to do that, you need to get clients. And to do that, you have to have people saying yes to you, and in order for that to happen, you need to market in a way that allows people who can use what you've got to be exposed to you in such a way that creates a chemical reaction that has them wanting to hire you. So how do you get that chemical reaction? Well, your job is to experiment. So you experiment with various marketing methods and see what works and what doesn't. Every single business owner is different because what you add to your marketing mix is based on who you are and your personality. It's based on your target market audience and their personality. It's also based on your expertise, your skill set. And all of that mixed together produces completely unpredictable results. So your job is to experiment and pay attention to those results and keep what works and then master it. So I'll give you an example. So one of the Big Shift coaching clients of mine stumbled her way to this sort of success. So she often spoke in front of small audiences, and during that talk she offered a free consultation for her. She loved doing it, but it wasn't easy for her to get good speaking gigs. And then one day she's at her beauty salon, and you know, what do you do at a beauty salon besides your hair? You talk. And she was talking about what she does, and then the salon owner said, well, what if I hosted a gathering for all of the clients of the salon? And at this gathering, my client got to speak. So the gathering was a huge success. And if I remember correctly, she got like 4 new awesome clients out of it. And completely unexpected result. She couldn't plan for that. Now, when she got that experiment and the result of that experiment, now what if she was able to get 1 or 2 salons every month to host a small gathering for her? Now this experiment can result to 4 to 8 new clients per month. And just that alone makes a pretty successful business. So what's the formula? Experiment with various ways to market your business. Pay attention to the results of those experiments. Keep what works, discard what doesn't, and here's the most important part, master the things that do work. And if you want to know a little bit more about mastery and my take on it, you can check out episode number 7 of the Big Shift podcast. So I have a question for you. What ways of getting clients are you going to experiment with? So take a couple of minutes to answer that question and put your answers on Big Shift Podcast /episode 19. And remember, your answers help me know you're listening and then inspire me to continue to produce this podcast. And now, if you are liking what you're seeing and hearing, I'd love to invite you to subscribe to the Big Shift Podcast. And as always, I appreciate your 5-star reviews on iTunes, and your instructions on how to do that is at Big Shift Podcast episode 19. And if you have any suggestions or you have any questions, you can email me at podcast@billbarron.com. And now, go and experiment. See you later.